You don't watch a movie before you fall asleep. You produce one. You cast it, you light it, you write the dialogue, and if a line didn't land last night, you shoot the scene again tonight until it's perfect. And this is the part nobody says out loud. If there's no new episode playing in your head, you don't fall asleep. You just lie there in the dark, waiting for the projector to start. If that landed a little too hard, I want you to hear this before anything else. You're not broken. You're not the only one doing this. There are millions of people lying in bed right now, directing a scene that never happened, and every single one of them thinks they're the only one. Some of you are doing it right now, half listening to me, half somewhere else, running a scene in the background. That's not a flaw in you. That's the whole thing we're about to understand. So let's take one thing off the table right away. This isn't your imagination being too wild, and it's got nothing to do with an overactive spirit or some sign you're special. It's mechanical. It's your brain doing exactly what brains do. What's actually happening is simpler than it feels. When your brain finally has nothing urgent in front of it, no email to answer, no road to watch, no person to read, it doesn't power down. There's a network that switches on precisely when you stop paying attention to the outside world. A neuroscientist named Marcus Raichle at Washington University in St. Louis spent years studying this and gave it a name: the default mode network. And the shorthand you actually need is this: your resting brain is a storytelling brain. The moment the world goes quiet, the narrator wakes up. Now think about when the world is quietest. It's when your head hits the pillow. Lights off, phone down, no more input. That's not a bug. That's the exact moment your brain has been waiting for all day to finally start talking. And if you've ever caught yourself replaying an old conversation, editing what you should have said, fixing the comeback you didn't have in the moment, this is the same machine. It's just pointed the other way. Instead of rewriting the past, it's rehearsing a future that hasn't happened yet. For a lot of us, this started early. Somewhere back there, the world inside your head was calmer than the world outside it. So you learned to go there. And it worked. It kept you company. It still does. Sign 1. The projector doesn't wait for bedtime. The first thing most people get wrong? They think this only happens at night. It doesn't. Night is just when you notice it. The truth is the projector runs any time the day goes quiet. In the shower, on the drive home with the radio off, standing at the sink with your hands in the dishwater. There's a normal version of this that everybody has, where the mind drifts. A few loose thoughts float by, and then it passes. That's not what yours does. Yours casts the scene. Yours writes the lines. Yours knows what everyone's wearing. You're rinsing a plate, and suddenly you're 3 minutes into a conversation where you finally say the thing, the perfect thing, and you watch their face change. Or you're giving the speech. Or you're winning the argument you lost 4 years ago. Except this time, you're calm and they're not. And then the water's gone cold, and you have no idea how long you've been standing there. That's the quiet cost of it. Not that you daydream. Everybody daydreams. It's that you're never quite all the way in the room you're actually standing in. Part of you is always backstage, in the dark, watching a better take. Sign 2. The series with no finale. It's the same apartment again, the one that doesn't exist. You know where the light switch is. You know the person who's going to walk through that door, because they walked through it last night too, and the night before, and over the last few months they've changed. They've got a history now. Things happen between you that you remember happening, except none of it did. That's the second sign. Your scenarios aren't random. They have continuity. Most people's daydreams are one-offs. Yours is a series. Same characters, ongoing plot, arcs that pick up right where they left off. like your brain kept the set standing overnight. Some of you have been running the same storyline for years. There's a reason for this, and it's not that something's wrong with you. Your brain is a rehearsal machine. A psychologist named Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania argues that a huge part of what the human mind does is pre-live the future, run the simulation before the real thing. He half jokes that we're less the wise creature we named ourselves and more the creature that leans forward into what hasn't happened yet. So of course it builds a world. Of course the world has continuity. The ache underneath it, though, is this. The story in your head gets the one thing your real life almost never hands you. It gets to continue. Sign 3. It's a ritual, not a habit. A habit is something you do. A ritual is something you need. And somewhere along the way, this stopped being a thing you do and became a thing you need. Watch what happens on the nights you try to skip it. You lie down, you tell yourself you're just going to sleep like a normal person, and 20 minutes later you're still awake, restless, itchy in your own skin. Then you give in. You start the scene, and your whole body loosens, like a held breath finally let go. That's not entertainment. That's a key turning in a lock. You've probably even got a whole setup for it. A preferred side of the pillow, a specific crack in the ceiling you stare at while the scene loads. There's a reason it works so well right there at the edge of sleep. There's a state your mind passes through in those minutes between awake and gone, where the walls get thin and the images come easy and vivid, almost on their own. Your brain is already halfway into dreaming. You're just steering. And you steer the same scenes, don't you? The same moment, night after night, except you keep adjusting it. You change one line. You fix how you said it. You run the take again because last night's delivery was slightly off, and tonight you're going to get it right. The cost is a quiet one. Sleep, the most basic thing your body does, now has a price of admission. No story, no rest. Sign 4. The fake scenario is a letter you're writing to yourself. Pay attention to what you actually rehearse, not the plot, the feeling you're reaching for, because it's almost never random. If you keep imagining someone who listens to you, really listens, leans in, remembers the small thing you said last week, then somewhere in your real life you are starving to be heard. If the scene you run is someone choosing you, out loud, in front of everyone, then some part of you is quietly waiting to be chosen. The fantasy isn't the wish. The fantasy is the map to what's missing. Remember that apartment from a minute ago? The series you've been running for years? Look at who lives there with you. That's not a story. That's a shopping list of everything the daylight version of your life forgot to give you. You know the moment I mean. A song comes on, just the right one, and before the first chorus you've built the entire music video of a life you don't have. The city you'd live in. The person in the passenger seat. Who you'd be if things had gone another way. And it feels good for about 3 minutes. Then the song ends. And you're back, holding the exact shape of something you want and don't have. That's the sharp part. The scenario doesn't just entertain you, it tells you, in detail, precisely where it hurts. Sign 5. Okay, this next one, I sat with for a while before I decided to include it, because I don't want it to land like a warning. It's not. It's just honest. There's a line, and it's soft, and it's easy to drift across without noticing. It's the point where the theater starts to feel better than the street outside it, where the conversation in your head is warmer than the ones you're actually having, where you catch yourself turning down a real invitation, a real Friday night, because the version waiting for you at home, in the dark, behind your eyes, is just so much easier and so much better. A researcher named Eli Somer, at the University of Haifa, studies the far end of this. He calls it maladaptive daydreaming, when the imagining gets so absorbing it starts crowding out the actual living. I'm not putting that label on you. Most people who run scenarios at night are nowhere near it. I'm naming it because a lot of you have felt the pull toward it and thought you were the only one, and you're not. The tell is simple, and a lot of you already know it in your gut. When you'd rather be in there than out here. When the best part of your day is the part where nobody real is in it. That's not a moral failing. It's just worth being honest with yourself about. So, what do you do with all this? And this is the part where I refuse to hand you a tidy little checklist. 3 easy steps, problem solved. That'd be insulting. And honestly, it wouldn't work. Because the goal was never to stop. You don't need to shut the theater down. Some of the most alive, creative, deeply feeling people I know built their whole inner world in exactly this place. The goal isn't to imagine less, it's to stop being run by it, to hold the key yourself. 3 things actually help. The first one, just catch yourself in the act. You're at the sink, hands in the water, halfway into an argument that is never going to happen, and you just quietly say it. There I go. I'm in the theater. That's it. You don't fight it. You don't shame yourself. You just notice. And the noticing alone loosens its grip. Because now you're the one watching, not the one lost inside. The second one, read the letter. When you catch a scene running, ask it what it wants. Someone who listens? Then call the one friend who actually does. Being chosen? Then do one small, brave, real thing in the direction of a real person. Let the fantasy point you somewhere instead of replacing the somewhere. The third one, and full honesty, this is the one I'm still bad at. Give the theater a closing time. It can have you for a while. Not all night. Some nights I still let it run till 2 in the morning and pay for it the next day. I'm not fixed. I'm just paying attention now. That turns out to be most of it. I want to leave you with one picture. For years, you probably thought of this place in your head as a trap. A room you get locked inside, night after night, that keeps you from the real one. But that was never quite right. It's a private theater. Yours. A dark little room where the things you couldn't say out loud, the versions of you that never got to happen, finally get to speak. That's not a broken thing. That's a tender thing. And you don't have to burn it down to be free. You just have to remember which seat you're in. You're not the prisoner in that theater. You're the director. You hold the key. You can walk in when you need it, and you can walk back out into your actual life, the one with the cold water and the real people, whenever you choose. So let me ask you, of the 5, which one was you? Which one made you go, that's me, how did he know? Tell me in the comments. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who also produces movies at 2 in the morning, send this to them. Let them know they're not the only one either. I'm Soren. I make these because, for a long time, I thought the theater in my head meant something was wrong with me. It doesn't. It just means you feel things deeply enough to build a whole world out of them. I'll see you in the next one.